Start recording. Am I recording? Okay, yes I am. Thrill Seeker. To some extent, SnoweyVR. I love you both. I love the content that you make. Look, and I appreciate everything that you do, but your response to my honestly just vent on Twitter caused a lot of unnecessary stress. And I mean, whatever, it's happened now. I just wasn't ready for it. No hard feelings though. Let's just dig into it, right? I'm gonna start addressing some comments and stuff and some common themes based off of my recent Twitter post last night where I vented about basically I was going to give up VR if the Vario Arrow wasn't good, and admittedly that was in poor taste. I did create responses, like I did respond to that. I did create replies, and I just hope people see that. I'm going to make this video and link that under there as well for anybody who sees that tweet. Please just watch the whole video before you say anything more. There's more to have in your mind that I need to talk about before you can, or before you should come to a final conclusion. Okay, so please just hear me out on that. First of all, I want to get into a couple common themes regarding the Twitter post that I've seen flashed around a lot. I'm going to open up Discord here in a second. I have notes pressed in my own server so that I can help keep my mind on this because, anyways. So, sounds like a you problem. That is a big, that's a common theme that I've seen throughout the Twitter replies. Yes, it is indeed a me problem. And it's kind of pointless having gone on my Twitter post to tell me that a problem that I'm having with VR, that I'm struggling with VR, is a me problem. Like, I don't know why you would spend the time out of your day to tell somebody that their problems are their problems. It's pointless, right? And it does nothing. It just says the obvious, right? So yeah, this is a me problem. But this was never needed to be established because it was a vent that I was just venting on Twitter and I didn't expect it to blow up. You're right, it is a me problem. But there's more depth to it than that. Okay? Please. Another response that I saw often was, my expectations are too high. I can see why somebody would say that. I can see why, especially in the poor taste of that tweet and in the poor taste of that post, the way that I had worded it, it was not the best thing that I could have said. My expectations are very high. Yes, I have a very strong and a very established idea of what I think VR should be. And admittedly, yes, a lot of things don't come up to that idea, right? That expectation that I have is very, very high, but it's not unreasonable, right? The expectations that I have for VR are based off of what I've experienced and enhancements that I want to see. I know for a matter of fact that my expectations are going to be met. They're going to be exceeded. But we shouldn't wait for that. There's more detail that I want to get into on that later because it's not unfounded At least I don't think it's unfounded. If you agree to disagree, that's totally valid. I am me. I have my own opinions. I have my own thoughts. You are you, and you can have your own thoughts as well. Nobody ever said that was a bad thing. So, yeah. The third thing that I saw often commented on Twitter as replies to that post, right? There's 4 things, and I'm going to get to actual replies, is it's not the hardware. And again, you're right. But that's just as pointless as saying it's a me problem. No, it's not the hardware. The issue has never been the hardware. I mean, you can even look up on a video that I did on YouTube, on my own channel, I don't know, like a few weeks ago, where I avidly talked about the hardware being there. The hardware is wonderful, but it's the software experience that I have the most confined issue about. So I agree. The hardware is fine. I think the hardware is wonderful. I think, especially with like the Vario era, the XR3, with other VR technology like the OWO skin and the Tesla suit, we have hardware that outclasses so many other fucking aspects of technology that it is incredible. But I never once said that it was the hardware. I never once complained about the hardware. Well, that's disingenuous. I've complained about hardware issues to my friends, but the main point lies in the fact that the software is not where it should be, and the games are not where they should be. The technology within data is not where it should be. It's not the hardware's fault. I can credit that. It's software. I honestly will sound like a broken record saying this over and over again, but you're right. Look, no, you're right. You're right. It's not the hardware. And on that kind of the same front, it's another common theme that I've seen is like, I've used my headset and loved it, right? I've used X thing for X reason or, whatnot. And you've loved it. And that's good. Like, don't let what I said take away the fact that you're enjoying your experience, right? That's the end goal, is to just enjoy it. If you've used your Valve Index, your Quest 2, your Reverb G2, what have you, and you've loved it, that is fantastic. That is exactly what the point should be. And I'm not taking away from that. I hope I'm not taking away from that. If what I said or what anybody says about what you are already using takes away from your experience, that's unfortunate, right? I apologize, but, if you love where you're at right now with VR, and stay there, right? Keep doing that. That's fucking great. And I love hearing that. If you like using your Quest 2, use your Quest 2. Use your Valve Index if you have one. Use whatever you want if it makes you happy. And 100% of this post was just me talking about me not being happy with what I have. I sound ungrateful. Okay, I'll address that. Maybe I am a little ungrateful. Who knows? Whatever. But, as yeah. Look, I have to apologize. It's ADHD makes focusing on things and talking about things very, very difficult. So I'll be very, very broken in my responses, but I'll try to make sense of them as best as I can for y'all so that I don't confuse anybody, because I know that I can do that. Please bear with me. All right. So now that we're over that, let's get into the actual comments. I've created a group of them that I want to respond to that get the general gist of like everything that I've seen most people comment, right? There's a lot of comments, and I think this whole thing is stupid because of the response that I got. over something very small and minuscule. Somebody who has no name venting about how they don't like X technology, right? To have the response was too much. There was no point for it. But again, no hard feelings. I guess shit happens. Let's roll with this boat. And the first one from Thrill Seeker himself on the Twitter post. Vario Arrow won't save your perspective of the industry. I'm not going to lie. The problem is with your expectations, not the industry. We're getting there. No, Vario Arrow won't. I'll have to wholeheartedly agree with you. If the Vario Arrow is going to completely shift my expectations of the VR industry around, then I was in VR for the wrong reason in the first place, right? Having the best headset in the world isn't going to completely flip my view. But my view has always been, this kind of technology is fucking incredible. I see so much potential in it for it to grow and be amazing. That point of view has always been set in stone. And the word potential is important because we're not there yet. Okay? And I hate the fact that we're not there yet in some aspects. I will address that. In, this next thing, right? I'll have to, this quote, I'll have to admit the problem is my expectations, but really it's not. And this leads into the next thing. We're getting there. I despise that response. I personally despise the response of, we're getting there. Mark Zuckerberg has been saying, we're getting there for the past God knows how long since he's been in VR. Everybody's been saying, we're getting there. And for basic things, right? We should already be there. Yes, for the next step, for full dive, half dive, what have you, we are advancing at a rapid rate in VR that is incredible, and I cannot deny that. In that aspect, we are getting there. We are getting to the peak of VR at a rapid rate. We might even surpass what we ever thought would be the peak. But when you say something like, we're getting there, and that my expectations are too high, you talk about, and you are addressing everything about it. And when you say we're getting there, you're also letting an excuse for basic things to not be fully functional. Okay, to give a couple examples. Windows Mixed Reality, I've talked about it a bunch. I have an entire video, maybe. I have a lot of me complaining about it fucking somewhere. It's on my channel. You can find it. It's not that difficult. It's in that video of VR where it is not where it should be. Okay, I talk about it extensively in that. It is more often than not, and it is not my own personal point of view. I am not solidified, and I am not solely in this idea of, not just idea, in the issue of Windows Mixed Reality not working. If you go to the web store, to the Microsoft web store, and you look up Windows Mixed Reality, everybody is saying, almost everybody is saying, hey, this doesn't work for basic use. I cannot open up a game. I cannot use my headset without it blue screening, right? There is so many issues and reports of just basic things. People not even being able to connect their headset. It has been since 2017 in development with Windows Mixed Reality. Why are we not there yet? Why are we not to the point where we can 95% of the time connect a headset to our own computer? Why does that have to be something we have to wait on? Right. And when I talk about me being frustrated and upset with VR, that's what I'm talking about, right? My expectations are to be able to open up my headset, okay, and load up a game and have that not have a catastrophic error or a crash, not in a majority of the cases. And for most people, that is the case. But for higher end users, okay, you have me. You have people like Mystical, who has talked about not being able to connect their Pico, or not their Pico, their Pimax and stream with it and play games with it. Okay, you have issues with Pimax having the offset IPD inside of the headset, or no, the screen offset inside of the headset not match the IPD. We have video games of VR. A majority of them don't even support having a body. All you are is a set of hands. Why should we need to wait for that? This should already be here. We're getting there is not an excuse for that. And at the end of the day, when we're getting there, and we constantly say we're getting there, when Mark Zuckerberg says we're getting there, it just feels like an excuse for people to be lazy about it. And this is heavy into my own opinion. But look, Thrill, I understand. We are getting there. With VR, with great lengths of incredible technology, we are getting there. But what I'm concerned about is not that. What I'm concerned about is being able to plug in my headset and use it. My $1,200 headset is a paperweight because a piece of software does not support it to its best functionality. A piece of software built for it. We're not getting there. And that's the issue. If we keep waiting for the future's never going to happen. Something so basic as that, being able to connect my headset to my computer, that shouldn't be a struggle. I agree with you. My expectations are high. The Vario is not going to change my perspective on the VR industry. It should not. But what am I going to do? You know, if I want to have proper wireless streaming, why do I have to return to a third-party developer who, by the way, no shade, they have been doing incredible work with Virtual Desktop. But the fact that it's one person needing to do the work of multi-billion-dollar companies, that's unacceptable. And the answer of we're getting there is unacceptable. And that is my response to that, right? And if you think otherwise, again, you can agree to disagree. That's perfectly okay. Have a civilized discussion about this, right? That's perfectly okay. I don't mind that. This is, after all, my own personal opinion, my own response to Thrill Seeker's comment. 2 parts yes, 1 part a big fat no. But let's move on. SnoweyVR is the second comment that I want to get into, and I'm not going to get into as deep a detail. I just wanted to address Thrill directly because, well, I don't mean to throw you under the bus, but your comment is actually kind of the one that threw my tweet out into the entire public world to begin with. So, yeah, have with that what you will, and somewhat to SnoweyVR's, or SnoweyVR. Why do I say SnoweyVR? I completely apologize. SnoweyVR, not SnoweyVR, also made a reply to Thrill's tweet stating, seems like huge expectations. Yeah, they're huge expectations. They're not unfounded, right? Again, I've seen what VR can be, and the fact that it's not there yet, I want it to be there. All the time, not just sometime. Seems like huge expectations, yeah. I have a Valve Index. It's been amazing. That is wonderful. Again, I'm glad that you enjoy your Valve Index. That is not a cheap purchase, and the fact that you find it worth it is incredible. That's the end goal. It was I tried a Quest 2 wireless, and it was really good experience too. The only negative I had till now was the Rift S, but that was the microphone that killed it for me. Yeah, the Rift S microphone, admittedly, was the way that they designed the Rift S didn't make a lot of sense. Now it would make sense if they tried it, kinda, hardly. They would have to do a lot of upgrades, but powering your VR headset and doing all of the data transmission over one USB cable and a DisplayPort, not the best of ideas. Fair. Again, with the Quest 2 wireless, yeah. You know, I've had great experience with the Valve Index. I've had wonderful experience with the Quest 2 wireless, right? They're the whole things that got me, well, no, the Rift S is what got me initially into it. But the Quest 2 and the Index are the things that helped me the most get deep into it and experience some of the best that VR has to offer for consumers. And I wholeheartedly agree with you. For the most part, it's a great experience. It is wonderful. And I cannot replace that for anything. My expectations, I have huge ones for VR. But if you don't, then you just, I hate to say it, but it sounds like you just don't want VR to progress. If you don't expect next generation and you don't expect huge improvements, then, well, can you really say that that passion of yours, if you are passionate about it, is an actual passion? And I don't want to turn this on you. This is a rhetorical question. It's up for you to answer that to the best of your degree. Anyways, on to the next one. So another person commented, I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying people's Twitter names. I won't for sake of privacy. You can go onto my Twitter post, Twitter account, and you can see the comments yourself. Understandable. At the moment, you just got to be happy that you're one of the lucky ones. Some people have face sizes and eye problems that make VR a very niche item of topic. When I have a problem in game, I try to fully hold myself responsible for any experience. Challenge is fun. And you know what? That is valid. And yeah, I should be grateful that I'm able to have what I have. And I mean it when I say I've spent $7,000. I've had the ability to spend $7,000 in VR. You know, I own a Quest 2, a Valve Index, and a Reverb G2 Omnicept, right? Almost nobody gets to have that chance, and I should be grateful. I am grateful, right? And for the experiences, the good experiences that I have with them, they are wonderful. You know, for the first time, right? Especially with the G2 Omnicept, when I got that to work, it felt worth it. This entire hobby felt worth it. Some people have face sizes and eye problems that make VR a very niche item of topic, and yes, I agree. Right. Not everybody gets to experience it, but that's part of growth. You know, another thing that I've seen a lot is VR is still in its early development. Part of that development is making it more accessible to people who are disabled in some way. Yeah, you were right. You are entirely right, right? And my experiences, at least to a greater degree, I do hold myself responsible, or at least I like to think I try to hold myself responsible for any bad experiences that I directly have caused, right? I could talk about the Quest 2, how the right side IPD is offset, but I know that's probably because, hey, I've dropped that headset a few times because of it, right? I'm not mad at that. That's not the Quest 2's fault. That's my fault. And there's other things that are my fault, right? I've been frustrated at stupid things, and then I realized, oh, it's ID10T. Understandable, right? There's a couple of other funny comments that I just wanted to address to help lighten up the mood, right, of the video. This one isn't one, but we're going to get to one soon. You should wait for the Valve Deckard. Index is a good HMD, but it's born old. Don't worry, the future of HMD is amazing. Yes. I have no doubt. Okay. The Valve Deckard is looking to be, and also the Decagear. That's apparently planning on shipping soon. That is looking incredible as well. I am super curious to see like what all comes out of that with Valve and what is it? Deca? What's the company name? It doesn't matter, right? The future of HMD is very exciting. I've seen reports and shit. We've all seen it. If we're in the space together, right? If you've been in the space for a while, and you're deep into it, you already know what I'm talking about. The future of HMD is exciting. And I love the fact that we're still doing engineering, right? And that this isn't a dead hobby. It hasn't just gone nowhere. It's exploded. It's taken off. And yeah, I'll wait for the Valve Deckard. As to if I'm gonna buy one, I'm pretty much dead set on buying the Vario Aero at this point. And when I get that, I don't want to plan on spend. I might get another headset, but that's only for being able to have face and eye tracking at the same time. But realistically, I'm going to try and use my Vario Aero as much as I can, whenever I get that, right? Technology takes time to advance. Correct. Where we are now compared to where we were a few years ago is astounding, and it's only going to improve. You have to buy into the current generations in order to push the future generations. That's just the way of things. Hope you find your enjoyment. And that is beyond any words that I can say. That is correct. Look, I understand. Technology does take time to advance. Where we were since the CV1, since the Rift S, is miles and miles and miles better. Right? And the fact that, yeah, we are still in our relatively new stage of VR, you know, I do believe that we do have to push, right? To buy the current generations to push the future. That's how it works. That's an investment. But, you know, to rebuttal that, or at least part of that, back to what I said, there's basic things that we still have not figured out. And I'll put a personal opinion piece at the end of this video that will, you know, I'll try and describe like maybe a little bit more of where I'm coming from with this. Right. But yes, and I hope if you're in VR, right, I do hope you find your enjoyment as well. I absolutely, I have found my enjoyment, and I'm chasing that again. It's kind of an addiction. Fucking at this point, it might as well just be considered an addiction. But thank you for that. Headset is headset. Content is what counts. Experiences are what matter. I fail to see what's wrong with a Quest 2 or a Reverb G2 or whatnot on their own. Yes, headset is headset. And content and experiences are what count. The experiences, what's wrong with the G2? And it's not even the G2, nor is it the Quest 2. It's just software. The software isn't there yet. The games aren't there yet. We're not there yet with software, with just like connecting the headset to the computer. Everything hardware is fine at this point. But when it comes to not being able to load up a game, right, that just bogs down all of the experience, right? And when the content we have is so limited, when it gets to the point where we're just now starting to get to mods being mainstream in VR, when it's been mainstream in video games for the past 15, 20 years, I hope you can start to see where I'm getting at with this, right? I do agree that a headset at the end of the day is just a headset, but it is nothing without something, the software and the support to back it up. And again, my original Twitter post did sound ill-willed, and it was detrimental at the end of the day. So, A, because while it was just me unnecessarily bashing on VR, B, it exploded much further than what I was expecting or wanting it to. All right, what's next? Yep, come on. Boys out here expecting Ready Player One by the end of the year? No. I'm just expecting me to be able to connect my Windows Mixed Reality headset and not have it crash. At least give me that, right? That's a reasonable expectation, right? Ready Player One is not going to happen. Not anytime soon. I don't expect anything from that. This is one of the funny ones. At this rate, you're going to DIY your own headset. I kind of want to. Like, that would be cool, right? If I could be able to DIY my own headset, I could learn the engineering. It would take a few years, but shit. Hey, if I DIY my own headset, do you think I could bring it to the market? That's something that I'd want to do that, right? If I could do that, I'll totally do that. I'd love to. Fuck it, let's go. They're all rubbish because they are LCD. No, in no way, no how. Okay, so here's the thing about OLED, and maybe you've heard of this, maybe you haven't. Burn-in. Not only that, you don't need OLED. We've already proven by panels like mini LED and micro LED, right? Micro LED, not micro OLED. That we don't need OLED to have a very wonderful experience. Right. And just saying a take like that so absent-mindedly, it's not healthy. The Reverb G2, the G2 Omnicept, the G2 V2. You ask any single person on the face of the planet who has used it, right? And they will tell you the visual experience of that is the most incredible visual experience you can get for a consumer. Okay, let alone $500. There are headsets now that are several $1,000s that still cannot keep up with the G2 and the G2 V2, right? The visual experience is fine on those. On the Fresnel lenses, it doesn't matter. The Fresnel lenses on those are made so well that God rays and glare and distortion are not really a thing. They look wonderful. The only thing you can fault them on is a field of view, right? They only have about 105 degrees field of view, which honestly is fine because you look in that and it's mind-blowing how clear and crystal and just good it looks. The colors are fantastic. The contrast is fantastic. The brightness is fine. You know, the sharpness and density of the pixels, it is, oh my God, I can go on for hours and hours and hours and fucking hours about how good the visual experience is on that, right? And that's an LCD panel. That is an LCD panel using a Fresnel lens. It is basic technology at this point. But it's not rubbish. They did it well, and that's the thing. HP and Valve did a fantastic job making those LCD panels and making those lenses for the LCD panels, and it shows. Okay, nobody has ever once said that that headset looks bad. I would personally like to see someone bring up a comment on how bad those panels look, because I can guarantee you, unless you're paying enterprise for thousands of dollars, you're not going to get a better experience. Simply because the LCDs and the Fresnel lenses were made well, and they were made with love and effort. So no, they're not all rubbish because they have LCD panels. And I'm sorry, but your brain is rubbish for thinking that black and white. Yes, this is a direct insult. Fuck off if you don't like it. It's not as black and white as the panel technology, and that's why I'm not actually concerned about the MetaQuest 2, or not, the MetaQuest Pro having LCD panels, because like I've seen how good they can get. If they can get the Quest Pro screens to look as good, no issues, right? Doesn't matter if it's OLED. Plus, OLED has a tendency of like not lasting, and I want my headset to last. I'd hope you do too. Unless you're just a troll and then all of this doesn't make any sense anyways. I have a feeling you're probably just a troll. Actually, yeah, no. Fucking, this one is actually a really good reply to the thing. Oh God, okay, it's getting dark out. I need to wrap this up. This one is a really good reply to the post. And they're just simply asking questions, right? And I'm going to go do my best to answer them as quickly as possible. I'm almost done. Trust me. I'm almost done. And then I'll get on to my own personal opinion piece. What problem are you trying to solve? Possible answers: immersion, latency, photorealistic rendering, accurate input methods, lack of force feedback, accurate motion tracking, and VR-only content. Well, the immersion's fine. The latency is fine. The photorealistic rendering is fine, right? It's a VR headset. I'm not expecting a lot. Well, I'm not expecting it to look like real life. Accurate input methods. That could be construed because the Valve Index is a thing, and its knuckles are pretty accurate, right? And I also have full body tracking, right? And that's incredibly accurate. I'm going to make a video on that soon, but that's not the point of the video. This video. Lack of force feedback, accurate motion tracking, and VR-only content. I can understand the lack of force feedback, but I'm not personally too tilted by it. I don't need force feedback for my VR content. Honestly, I don't want controllers for my VR content. If I can do hand tracking, then that's like the ultimate. Yes. I love it. I love hand tracking. I hope that becomes more of a thing. Accurate motion tracking. Again, the motion tracking is accurate. I don't know how it could be inaccurate. There's issues with, reliability with motion tracking, especially with like slam tracking in dark areas or blind spots on laser tracking. But we got into the point where the motion tracking on it doesn't really matter that much. It's incredibly accurate. Of course, it could get better, but I'm not upset by it right now. VR-only content. We should have more VR content. Maybe not VR exclusives, but having a lot more VR content, a lot more mainstream VR content would be great. Other than like Beat Saber, Half-Life Alyx, VR Chat, those are really the only three that go anywhere. No, that's a lie. Rec Room as well. But, there should be more VR content in general that hits mainstream. There's a lot of VR content now, but a lot of it is dry and bland. Mostly, really the only thing that I want as of now, the only thing that I'm upset about is the fact of basic software issues occurring that shouldn't occur. Being unable to connect my headset and load up a game without it crashing on my Windows Mixed Reality headset. I shouldn't have to wait a year, 2 years for my desktop or for my headset environment to update. That simply should just not be a thing. That's all I want. For now, I want it to get better, but I don't want the excuse being thrown around, right, that we're getting there. I just want it to get better. And I hope you do too. My bad dude is talking about some solid VR stuff for a while now to play with VR, or was looking into Pimax for Sim and Flight VR. Valid. Pretty groovy stuff. Now eye tracking with facial rendering. Looking forward to the next few years of R&D for some epic stuff. And yes, I am too. I am excited to see what Valve comes out with, right? With the Deckard. I'm looking at the Pico 4. That thing looks like a great headset. Apple is interestingly silent about their headset now, which means maybe something. And then there's the Megan AX. That looks wonderful. And it's only up from here for that hardware. What's sucking about them? My assumption, lack of meaningful interaction, lag, and jank. You can't do much in the way of productive things. I mean, yeah, to a certain extent, yeah, the issue is jank, mostly jank, and, mostly lack of meaningful content. I think that the hardware is where it should be right now, but we just don't have a lot to support that hardware. Right. And that's the end of the comments, and this is going to be my personal opinion piece. This is going to be me recommending something that is going to not vibe well with some people. But whatever. I am confident about this. And, well, it's just something that I've noticed. Because, look, all of my issue with VR stems from a lack of proper basic function within a headset being supported within software. I personally believe that where we are now with hardware is fine. If we, at least temporarily, just stopped innovating VR hardware. Because I've noticed this got to the point where we're making so many technological advancements on the physical front that we don't have enough development to keep up with it. We still don't have legs or bodies in VR games, a lot of them. I'm not talking about leg tracking, right? I'm just talking about having legs. Just the thought of having a body, that still is not a common theme in VR yet. On top of face tracking not being a normalized thing, the only people who do it is HTC. HP, sure, they do it, quote unquote. They haven't developed the software for their $1,200 headset, $1,300 headset to support face tracking. And only just now are we getting around to having proper face tracking with the with the Meta Quest Pro. Why is it taking this long? Right? Why is it taking this long for the hardware or for the software to start catching up with this hardware? I don't know. We've been doing too much of that. We have eye tracking, but again, that eye tracking, it's not supported by everything. And a lot of times it's jank. There is no unified eye tracking software. Some things use S-Ranipal, some things use the Omnicept runtime, some things use their own. Why is it so just jank? And other very basic features like fucking, I don't know, games still don't support the Valve Index controllers. Why? Like things like that, right? We have wonderful, amazing controllers, the best controllers I have ever used in general, right? Specifically with like the individual finger tracking. Most games don't support it yet. It's been 4 years, 5 years since the Valve Index came out, and we still haven't caught up to getting controller support with them. And I understand why with some games that isn't necessary, say like Beat Saber. Other games it absolutely is, and there is still no support for it, despite having came out after the Valve Index came out. Things like that. Hardware and the technology behind the hardware is outpacing the software, and that's what's causing up a jumble up of experience, and that's what's causing me, at least personally, to be upset. Because we have such great potential with the hardware, but we are nowhere near at it with anything software design, compatibility. It just is not there yet for VR. Even if it should be. When it comes out, I'm not going to be cynical. I'm not going to be upset that it had come out, because that means improvement. And I love seeing improvement in VR. But don't get it construed. I don't hate VR. I just don't agree with where it's at right now, given especially the monumentous uplift, right? There, from what I can tell, there's a shift in what people want to make and what people want to develop for the things that they make. That's my personal opinion piece. The software is not there. And my ill-tasted Twitter post, that is a vent. I never meant for that to explode like that. It got replies from very big people. I wish it just like had not have been reacted to, you know, because it's just a vent, and I understand it's on Twitter. I should have expected this. I'm not going to delete the tweet because it's there now. Like, there's no point in getting rid of it. Everybody's already seen it. But at the very least, I hope you understand like everything that I've talked about in this video. I need to shut down my computer. I have things to do with it. I still need to repair it. I need to run a boot time scan, DDU, see if I can get Windows Mixed Reality up and running and working so I can use my headset, my other headset. And as always, keep living it. Have a wonderful day. I mean it. Bye-bye.